The Aunt from Whoop Whoop. Fancie Udall's letters from Tennant Creek, 1930 to 1942. Alice Springs, 1930. Dear Ray and Doris, we had a good trip up, but owing to the rains had to keep going off the beaten track. The car gave us no trouble at all. We were a wee bit afraid of the sandhills, but she climbed them well. From Horseshoe Bend, which consists of a police station and hotel combined, we saw no person until we reached here, a distance of 127 miles. On the track, though, we counted no less than 6 cars which had been abandoned on account of some accident. Should anything go wrong, broken axle, etc., it is too costly to have car brought in, so it's left. With love, Fancie. Tennant Creek, the 25th of February. Dear Olive, needless to say, I was very pleased to get the money order, although it is not yet cashed, as owing to the heavy rains, the ordinary mail has been delayed for 6 weeks, and the mail by plane for a month. 2 bores broke down, and the other one was condemned. But as there was no other water available for drinking, we simply had to use it, taking care to boil every drop. Such a lot was sick. Several had to go to hospital for treatment, but we stuck to good old Aspro and pulled through. What to get to eat is a very big problem. Meat and bread are still plentiful. The baker has a fairly good supply of flour, with a truckload struggling in on its way from Mount Isa. He is expecting a load up from Alice Springs. A train is due there today, and with luck, the mails and goods will be coming along about Tuesday. Alice Springs, 24th of August 1933. Dear Olive and everyone, we're still in Alice Springs, have been here for some weeks, all on business. Jim is having a little trouble. A solicitor, no less, is trying to jump the mine. He has no hope of succeeding, I may tell you. Still, things are a bit lively. Tell Kathleen to be sure and write me. I hope they get onto some gold. It is the best paying, if only you can find it. There was a little excitement in these parts last when 2 men and a woman were arrested for housebreaking. Then a miner was found shot in the head in his bunk. And so far, apparently nothing has been done, though an arrest is hourly expected. We had great fun watching the trackers on the hunt for the burglars. It's nearly 11 at night, so must stop. Love to all, Fancie. Tennant Creek, the 20th of June 1937. Dear Olive, you will be wondering if the money order reached me. Yes, I was very pleased to see it come along. Like most of the people, the depression caught us, and as to be without a car means death almost, it took us all time to get petrol and to keep the old bus going. At times we couldn't scratch up enough pennies to buy a stamp, hence no letters very often. When you see your mother, tell her that the books arrived and were more than appreciated. Ralph was a brick to remember me. The book, I Was a Spy, is going around the field. Reading matter is in great demand, and when one has a book of any description, it is expected to be passed on. No gardens at Tennant. Water at 11 shillings for 50 gallons makes gardening too expensive. Kind regards to Mum and love to yourselves and the Nips. The Auntie Fancie. Adelaide, 15th of December 1937. Dear Olive, don't get a start to see the new address, but Jim had to come down to the doctor, also had business to do, so I came with him. It's 6 years since I saw a city, and I just stand and admire the wonderful fruit and vegetables. Yours affectionately, the Aunt. Tennant Creek, the 25th of February 1938. Dear Olive, thanks for the money order. It arrived here the same day as we did and was a godsend. We had a good trip up, but slow, owing to the rotten state of the track. Such a lot of drift sand. We got here without mishap, and no doubt you have read how the train has been held up by floods for a week now, without any hope of being able to move for the next month. In town here, butter, eggs, bacon and potatoes and onions are finished. Fruit and vegetables, of course, are only a dream. Meat and bread can be had, no shortage, and not likely to be. The people in the train are quite all right. They have sleeping berth, and although they are somewhere in the middle of sandhills, have the supplies of food on board for all the towns, etc. up this way, so they will be living well. We tore into town and managed to get half a pound of butter, 3 pounds of onions and 14 pounds of potatoes, the allowance our store was giving to its best customers. Other people got nothing. The plane may bring up a little provisions, but won't they be dear? We'll stop now and write a letter to Senya. Yours, as ever, Auntie. Tennant Creek, the 25th of February 1938. Dear Senya, what a delightful surprise to get such a nice letter from you. By now you will be back at school. Uncle Jim and I do not live in a house like you see over there, but have a camp and are really comfortable. Up to Christmas time we lived in a tent, which, if you can imagine, didn't give us much room to move about in and was very awkward when it rained. Now we have an iron roof, and we did intend to have 2 rooms with a big veranda. As we had no place to put our car into, the kitchen was left without a back, and so we used that as a garage. We have no doors, only a space left open. The bedroom is 12 feet by 10 feet, and the veranda is 20 feet by 8 feet, and is used as a kitchen and storeroom. Of course, the veranda is closed in. Mother will tell you how we have had a lot of rain, and since the rain we have been kept busy spraying for mosquitoes. With love, the aunt in Whoop Whoop, Fancie. The Ghan Battery, Tennant Creek, 2nd of August 1938. Dear Olive, your letter and money order came about a fortnight ago. It arrived with the butcher's bill, so was cashed immediately. Needless to say, we always seem to be short. Meat is our cheapest item. Our grocery bill is anything from £15 to £20 per month. How people manage on the basic wage and with families has me tricked. Yet they always appear to do everything, pictures and all. Pictures here are 2 shillings and 9pence for adults. The Aboriginals get in for 2 shillings and are allowed to sit in the very front on the floor, and they just love going. We haven't been yet. We did struggle in to have a look at the children's fancy dress ball. The children, about 60, looked wonderfully dressed, and I didn't see one child not in costume. The majority of costumes were hired from Adelaide, and the judges had a hard job to pick out the winners. As you will note by the address, we are putting through a small crushing in the hope of getting some ready cash. Jim has a 3rd man working, which means £18 a week for wages alone. There are 2 government batteries at which we have crushings booked, but have to wait our turn, and so had to come here in the meantime. The Ghan, as everyone calls him, is a very clever man, speaks 7 languages, and is said to be very tricky. He charges a lot more for his battery, but we are not able to wait our turn as we have to have some cash to carry on. Our address is, as usual, just Tennant Creek. Love to all, from the aunt. Tennant Creek, the 15th of December 1938. Dear Olive and Company, thank you very much for the money order. Tomorrow night the CWA is giving the Christmas tree to the kiddies. Each child will get a toy worth at least 5 shillings, a big Christmas stocking, crackers, soft drinks, lollies, and a most wonderful Christmas tea. After Father Christmas has given out the toys, the grown-ups will hold a dance lasting into the wee hours of the morning. Wishing all the compliments of the season from us both, Fancie. Tennant Creek, the 29th of July, 1940. Tennant Creek being on the direct route to Adelaide via Darwin, all the mail planes, bombers, etc. fly straight over our camp. The other day there were 10 going to Darwin, and they did make a noise. One thing, as motor travel is our only means of travelling in these parts, the Northern Territory has no rationing of petrol. The price, though, stops any thought of waste. To work the mine, we now have to go to the police and get a permit to buy any fracture required, and no alien, friendly or otherwise, is allowed to have any, and have had to hand over all firearms in their possession. I went into the police station to declare what amount of fracture etc. I had at the mine, and noticed a large number of guns, rifles, etc. lined up along the walls, each bearing a name and docket. Even is an alien working for you, you are not allowed to let him handle fracture. A large number have been interned, but even so, we still have too many at large. Mind you write a bit more frequently. It is no joke to go to the post office and to be told, no mail. Yes, I do understand you are busy. Still, try to squeeze out a few lines now and again. Love to everyone. Yours, the Aunt, Fancie. Tennant Creek, 5th of March, 1941. Dear Olive, we have been all this week trying to get a man to help Jim. We are on good all, but cannot get one. Work is plentiful, and men are scarce. Now for some joyful news. We have had 2 thunderstorms since Sunday, and in consequence of smiling, it means no water to buy for at least a month, if not longer. Only wish I could pop up to Katoomba for a short holiday. This place is not so nice in summer, what with butter that melts directly taken out of the cooler, only an ordinary kind, flies, dust and mosquitoes and heat. There are much nicer spots. Do wish Kathleen and her hubby had wandered this way instead of towards Brisbane, for if he can work at all in the mining line and is steady, he would never be out of a job, and the lowest pay is £6 per week. Living is dear, but against that, those who live out of town, live in camps, have no rent or wood bills to meet, and if they had a bus, could cart their own water free. With love to yourself and the bairns, Fancie. Tennant Creek, the 17th of the 1st, 1942. Dear Olive, thanks for the cash. We had quite a good Christmas. The CWA here runs a canteen free for any of the fighting forces passing to and fro from Darwin to Adelaide. Up to date, over 40,000 men have been supplied with cups of tea, scone and cake each. Not a bad effort for such a tiny hole of a place. Very few of the women can afford to come in and put in a whole day at the work, and it boiled down to 4. Then I made the 5th. Being 3 miles out of town means a long, dreary walk. Talk about tramp, tramp along the highway. Naturally, I am keeping that slim and girlish figure, but not, oh decidedly not, the schoolgirl's complexion. The heat, sun, wind and dust gives one a complexion that no artist could nor wish to paint. Yours, a grease spot, the Aunt. Denevin Street, Bendigo. The 15th of July, 1942. Dear Olive, as you will see by the above address, I'm at Ray's place. Gold mining was stopped at Tennant Creek, although I believe one mine, a large company with its own crushing plant, was still going strong. We went to Alice Springs. Jim was thinking about prospecting for Wolfram, but the conditions offering were not tempting enough, and we had decided to return to Victoria when an order was posted up ordering all civilians not doing essential war work to be ready for evacuation. We were doing nothing, so got away in the first batch. Although the sun is shining and I am writing this by a fire, my feet and fingers are just about frozen. With greetings from all here, yours, the Aunt Fancie. For more information about life on Tennant's goldfield as seen through the eyes of women and children, visit Freedom, Fortitude and Flies, an exhibition in the Social History Museum at the Battery Hill Mining Centre, Tennant Creek. This talking photograph album was created by Meg Kellum, freelance historian, educator and broadcaster, with financial support from the Regional Museum Support Grant Program, Museum and Art Gallery, NT.